All right, the video is going. Okay, guys, just making this kind of off the cuff impromptu video because over the past couple days I've noticed there's been a lot of talk about banning the Tush Push, whatever you want to call it, right? It's a rugby move. That's kind of what I've always said it was. It's just incorporating a rugby type move into the NFL, and with drafting players like Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson, and back with Jason Kelsey and even Jalen Hurts, bringing in guys like Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, AJ Dillon in the offseason from the Packers. The Eagles, they build for this, right? If you think of the NFL as like I hate to be like this nerdy about it, but if you think about the NFL as like a tabletop RPG, you're making a build. So the Eagles are built for the Tush Push. They're a running team. That's their offensive identity. And so, yeah, the last couple days, apparently this all started several months ago. For you guys that don't know, with the Packers. The Packers were the team that was revealed to have a problem with the Tush Push. And then like several years earlier too, when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl the first time against the Chiefs in 2022, they were talking about banning it, but then it just like went away. But this time, I don't know. So there were the reason I'm making the video today, there was supposed to be a vote today, and I read something. I don't even know if this is confirmed, because it all seems like fake and gay at this point. Like I don't know what's real and what isn't, because this one thing I read said 16 of the teams actually supported banning it. So that's like half the NFL. And so I don't know how this works. Does that mean that if just like one more team says yes, they ban it? If like half the consensus is that they should ban it, I have no clue. I don't know how that works. I know that it's basically it's 32 teams, 32 owners. So, but then Roger Goodell is like the president or whatever. So I don't know how the NFL politics works, is what I'm kind of getting at. And I also don't even know if that's true. I don't even know if it's true that 16 teams support this. So anyway, it was supposed to happen today. Apparently it's now been delayed until May. And there's just been a lot of social media stuff. Kellen Moore came out and defended the Tush Push. I hate the name too, like brotherly shove, like all these names for it. It's just stupid. All it is it's a rugby move. It's just you're pushing the ball forward essentially. And the biggest reason why I think it's stupid is because you saw just last year several teams tried to do it and they were like completely unsuccessful doing it. The biggest one, obviously, even though I do think it was a first down that Josh Allen got, he tried to do it and he barely gained a yard, even though in my opinion the ball went over, it crossed the plane. They just got screwed on that one. But the Eagles are the only team where they make it pretty convincing, because they push like 2 to 3 yards usually. Most teams, they just don't do that. So if the argument is that it's like an easy mode play, which I've heard a lot, that's false. The other argument is that it causes injuries, which I actually think something like this play would cause less injuries, because you're essentially it's just the defense and the offense like pushing into each other from very close range. So there's not really a lot of risk for obviously there's risk for injury, but compared to like other plays like a wide receiver, getting hit, or like defensive players like running really fast, like blowing their knees out, running backs getting hit, like all that is not really a factor with this play. And so that argument I think is weak. Basically what this boils down to, guys, is like I've said before in the past, the NFL is an entertainment product. And it's fake and gay in that way. The Chiefs were utterly embarrassed in the Super Bowl not because of this play, but because the Eagles are just that dominant, and this play was part of that. But the real reason is, I just think that they just don't want this play. We'll see, we'll see. But if the 16 teams thing is true, it would just mean that they don't want this play. It doesn't have anything to do with what the fans want. I don't think the NFL really cares because, if you live in a city with a stadium, you pay for that with your own taxes. Like, you don't, the NFL doesn't even pay for its own, existence in many ways. I think they pay taxes now, but for like several decades, they were tax exempt. They were almost treated like a church. It's very odd if you go look at the history of the NFL. Maybe I'll do a deep dive into that someday. But it was very odd because the NFL was, they're like the ultimate form of slop in many ways, is what I've been saying over the past couple of years, because it is very much bread and circuses. It's meant to just keep you, glued to this news cycle. It's one of the reasons I stopped covering the NFL so much, is because, I just felt like I was like glued to this cycle of, I got to talk about everything that happens with the Eagles or everything that happens with the NFL, right? It's just like pure slop in that sense for me, that the season doesn't end when the season ends. The football never ends. Even if if you're like a sports fan abroad, sports is designed to never end, because when one season ends, the next season for the next sport begins, and it just never ends. And then boom, you're back to football, right? The cycle just keeps repeating itself. And so what I think is happening with this Tush Push ban talk basically is that I just think the Eagles are just too good at it. They don't want other teams replicating it, because that's the next step. Logically, is that since the Eagles are so good at it, other teams will just look at that and say, okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to like actually build for this. And then you might have like multiple teams, right? Like 6 or 7 teams that all do this to varying degrees of success. And I don't know why. I just think they think that it'll make the league boring. That was always my analysis, because the Eagles are, right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the reasons why they're so successful is I think that they're a very like practical team. They're a team that they're not really trying to be flashy or get the stats or whatever. They just care about winning, which I really like. Like Jalen Hurts, if you go look at him, his stats are not the best compared to like the greats, right? But he's already been to 2 Super Bowls and has won a Super Bowl. So he's already basically done what Russell Wilson has done in shorter amount of time, same amount of time-ish. I don't know. I can't remember I think Russell Wilson did it within 5 years. So, yeah, it's a very similar trajectory, but the Eagles they just feel very practical, even with the offseason right now that I've been paying attention to. They're losing a lot of guys, but they're like bringing a lot of guys, and, Howie Roseman, he's always thinking 3 years ahead. So, yeah, they just don't care about the flashy things as much, and they're more into, Saquon Barkley was like the biggest offseason signing I've seen from the Eagles since like A.J. Brown. They don't go out and just like dump all their money onto like superstar talent immediately. They kind of like wait over time, and then they draft a lot of guys, right? This is like why they're willing to trade a guy like CJ to the Texans, because they see the future. Like, we got young guys here, we've got more draft picks in about 2 to 3 years, so why don't we just trade CJ now for this O-lineman that's gonna essentially replace Milton, who they didn't want to pay, Milton Williams, who went to the Patriots, who they did not want to pay. And so, yeah, that's just the way I'm looking at it. Like, they're very practical, and the Tush Push, or what, brotherly shove, whatever the play, to me, it's like obvious. I don't know. I've always, now that it's like a thing, I look at it like, why didn't other teams do this sooner? Because it's like an obvious thing. It's like, if you're like 4th and 1 and you can do this, like, why wouldn't you do it? And if they ban it, it's like it's just really stupid. It's just gonna go back to very conservative football. That's another thing that the Tush Push has done to the league, that a lot of people don't factor in, is that it has made the league a lot more aggressive. A lot more teams actually try to go for it on fourth down. They make it a lot more exciting in that way. So basically, I think there's a lot of concern for the play becoming too popular, I think. And then also they really want teams to throw it more and whatever. To me, it's just a marketing move. I haven't even met a lot of people that hate this play, even people that are not Eagles fans, like fans. That's why I don't think it's coming from the fan bases. Because, like I said, it's just a build. Like, you can't just do it. It'd be like banning the forward pass, or like banning the wildcat or something. Like any number of plays you could think of, right? Like a team could build around that play and make it their thing. It'd be like banning the Saints back in the day from like using Taysom Hill on trick plays or whatever. It's that level of stupid. And again, another thing to bring up, this is why I think that it's very weak for this. A lot of the reasons the NFL does a lot of these things is because it has become much more feminized, just due to the longhouse society that we live in general. If you guys don't know what the longhouse means as a term, it just basically means that we live in like an age of like HR departments. We're just like catty women, chirp down at us and tell us all what to do. So that's the way to think of it. We literally live in an age where like women are in everything. And when that happens, there's always like safety concerns. They always want to make sure that everything's done fair and safe or whatever, even though that's not what happens. That's beside the point, though. The point with the NFL is that that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the sport safer. But again, with this play, I think it's a weak argument because I think you're likely to have less injuries with a play like this than if you just threw the ball on 4th and 1, right? Because then you've got all the colliding randomness that can happen there. This is just like very centered, defense versus offense. Really, the only like major injury that could happen is if like Jalen Hurts got hit in the head really hard or something like that. But I just think the percentage of that happening is much lower because, no matter what you do in football, there's a chance you're going to get injured. But with this, it's much lower. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to make that video. I guess I'll probably make a video, I guess, in May or whenever the hell they might drag this out until the beginning of the season. I really don't know their angle completely. I just wanted to give my thoughts on this. I thought it was dead 2 years ago because I remember this debate was happening 2 years ago, and they kind of like, oh, forget about it, it's fine. And then the Eagles win a Super Bowl with it, essentially, and now they're bringing it up again. So I don't know why they would bring this up now, I guess, because if the Eagles are becoming one of those annoying teams like the Chiefs, I just don't know why they'd bring it up now. But anyway, that's the video, guys. It's really all I got to say for now. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and I will talk to you all later.